Brian.
Hello.
Hello, Brian.
Is this Bay?
This is me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So you all ready to go?
I'm all ready. Ready to
All
go.
right. Well, it's kind of funny because I guess as I was approached to have you guys on the show, I kept saying to myself, like, how the hell do you say the name of this? I was trying, I kept looking at the title of the email, and I kept looking at I'm just like, how? Like, how do you do this? And then after reading the bio, it became very clear to me.
Right, yeah. We hear every form of that, I think when you throw a Q into something, it that's what it does. It throws everybody off.
Oh, totally, totally. I was totally like, Now, there's a funny story behind the way you guys came up with the name too. Like, let everybody know how you guys actually came up with the name QUOR.
QUOR was we were just as a working project name in the very beginning. Doug and I just goofing around. I guess we were going to be called "We Are Going to Be Awesome," or because we like the acronym WAG TBA. But again, it was a working name. And I was driving down the PCH late one night, and for anybody that's drove down the Highway 1 in California, on some evenings it gets real kind of creepy, foggy, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. But I looked off into the distance, and there was a large liquor store sign, and the L on the I was knocked out of it. It was a big yellow sign, and it just said QUOR, and then this QUOR just coming through the fog, and so I pulled over the car. I'm like, man, I got to take a picture of that. So I took a picture of it, and the next day at rehearsal I showed the guys, and we went, well, that's it. That's the name. It sounds good. And it's made it very easy to understand how to pronounce it, because everybody has trouble. If you first look at it, everybody says QUOR, or there's
right.
a lot of different renditions of it. And then we're able to say, no, it's just it's pronounced or spelled liquor minus the LI. So no real association to liquor aside from a liquor store sign that the LI was knocked out of it. But so we liked the name, so we went with it.
So I guess you can kind of say, like, you guys do believe in signs.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Literally.
Now, you also mentioned, too, like, you guys were thinking about calling the band We Are Going to Be Awesome, which I think is freaking phenomenal.
It set the bar, and that's what we joked about, because we were just kind of working on some new material. We went, we got to set the bar here, and so We're Going to Be Awesome seemed like a good name, because that's a bold statement, So we ended up calling the first release, the first EP that we put out. We did, in honor of that name, we called it We're Going to Be Awesome. And we did do a couple of quote-unquote secret shows where we just don't really say we're showing up somewhere, and we've done them under the name WAG TBA, or We're Going to Be Awesome, just in honor of that history.
Now, you guys ended up calling your first EP, which came out in 2013, We Are Going to Be Awesome. I guess kind of like an homage to it.
Yeah, it was just sort of in respect to that, because that name was still, we still thought the name was pretty awesome. So yeah.
Now, the single off of that was it was called Let's Rise, and you guys had a video for that, and which actually had won awards.
Right, and that video still, we did a shorter music video cut of it, and that is actually it's really doing really well for us. That the new version of it got released just a month or two ago, and it's been picked up everywhere. So it's just been pretty cool.
What did you think, though, when you win an award for a video? I mean, videos don't really, you don't think they mean a lot, but they truly do.
Right, and I think there was a time period where you had the MTV era and videos were big, and then it kind of lulled off, when MTV went into all their weird shows that had nothing to do with music, and videos kind of went away a little bit, and now with the movement of YouTube, and all these different video segments, they're really making a comeback, and it's really important to have one. We didn't expect to get any awards for it or accolades for it. We actually had looked at some different options and entities to do a professional video for us, and nothing seemed to be the right fit, or didn't pan out. People were dropping the ball, and so we actually shot that and produced it all on our own. And
oh, cool!
I was pleasantly surprised that it came out that way. We don't do anything normal, man, and so that video was no different. We had a friend that works and does some TV and movie work and does effects, and I asked him, I said, what should we do? Should we do some blue screen stuff? Because we had an idea, for the ropes and everything. And he said, no, because my advice is stay away from it. Try to do it all, without any CD and see what you can do. And so my garage became a creature effects shop literally overnight, and building all these harnesses to hold the ropes and all these effects and things. It's pretty cool, man. It was a fun artistic way, it was a great way to artistically represent that song. So it was fun.
That's awesome. Now you said you guys don't like to do things the normal way, which again, going back to your bio, and I kind of felt that when I read this. It said you guys you went over to Europe and Japan and did some touring, but it was an acoustic folk tour.
Right, yeah, folk. I think we coined that name. A lot of the songs were derived off of acoustic playing, just sitting there strumming around, and so we found that they do translate over as heavy as they can. Some of them are, even the heaviest ones. It's kind of uncanny how it works. But we've done a few acoustic shows, and I thought, well, I'd like to go over and test this in some other markets, and that was the easiest way to do it. And so went over and did a few dates in Europe, and then just after that went over and did Japan, and it went over really well. And we've seen quite an influence of that over in those areas. So we're now actually building over there in Europe, and we'll very likely be there in the spring or late summer of next year. We're trying to decide as to we're right now in the planning process of where we're going. We'll probably get over to the East Coast too. We'll cattywalk. It's either going to be East Coast or Europe, and it depends on what time of year we pick to go over there.
Cool. Now, were you worried that it wouldn't be the right way to represent the band, to a new audience like that off the bat?
Well, I call it folk edge because I don't play the songs any different, and even if I've done them, where I've just gone, it's just been me playing it. Don't play them any different really, and play them just as heavy, just as chunky, and it's just on an acoustic. I don't really sing any different, and nice. So it has just translated over, and I don't know why it's worked out so well that way, but it just does. And most of the time, it's a strange thing because I'll get we did the Orange County Fair over here one year and did it acoustically, and whereas that crowd that we had, if there's a few hundred people sitting there, some of them would have cleared out, and then other folks that liked the genre would have came in if we were all plugged in. Well, by doing it acoustically, nobody really left. It just kept growing. And when I got off the stage, I had a lady that looked to be in her 80s that came up and said, "Oh, that was really nice." and then I had a young guy come up and went, "Man, that was the most brutal acoustic thing I've ever seen." So, awesome. it just sort of crosses that bridge. I think the big thing with folks is, your ears just sort of get a prejudice to the distortion, and people will even forgive some screaming over an acoustic guitar. I think they just think that you're just being an artsy thing or something. I don't know. for some reason, it works.
That's awesome. It's funny too because I was just thinking my old band, my singer, he would sit and write a lot of his tunes on acoustic, and he would call me up and he'd be playing on the phone over to me, and I'd be like, all right, like I can kind of get it, and then it'd be sometimes like I'm like, no, that don't work, and he'd be hollering at me, just trust me, wait till we plug in, and then we plug in, I'm like, oh, all right, it does work.
Right. I mean, you don't get, there's certain things that you can't, you can't quite picture, because a lot of times we're using, there's a bit, obviously you get more of a sustain and stuff, out of an electric guitar. And on the acoustic, it's going to be a little more difficult to envision if you're just plucking two notes that are supposed to ring out a little bit differently,
Right.
And those, that's where you'd be cutting that into a rhythm instead of doing that. But yeah, it's crazy how that works, right? It's really amazing.
Yes, it really is. But so you were saying about the fans and all too, and it seems like you guys like have like your own, shall we say, like KISS Army, and you call them the Coalition.
Yeah, and then they named themselves the Core Lords.
Nice. Okay.
I think Doug kind of fought that, and then and then it grew. Like somebody said, "Oh, you guys should be the Core Lords," and then all of a sudden everybody started going, "We're Core Lords." Can't argue that. That's awesome. And so they want to be the Core Lords of the Coalition, and that's just fine with me. I want to be a Core Lord.
Well, when something like that happens, though, do you just like look at the other guys in the band and be like, "What the hell just happened? Like, how'd this happen?"
Right. And I think that's something that happens, in your career where it's an honor, because
yeah.
Folks have taken it and they've made it their own, and that's what art is supposed to be. The artist is just the puppet that's making it, and then it's for everybody. And then when everybody really takes it in and makes it their own, that's an honor. So,
right.
Pretty cool.
Absolutely. So all right. So the new CD came out last month. It's called Human Paradigm, right? Human Paradigm? Did I say that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And
right.
Now, is there any like special meaning behind that title, or?
Well, the title track. So we kind of named the record after the title track, and it really fit the idea of the record and where it was going. The song was written. I was taking a break one day, and I was just kind of watching some folks. It was a busy day down by the water, and I was watching some folks, running around, and it just seemed like, and I got to think, does everybody sort of, fit into a pattern? If you looked at all the people on the planet, does everybody just, this goes in group 1, that goes in group 2, that's in group 5, So just a handful of ways that we are here to be. And as I thought of that, I thought, well, no, because that does not create an evolution, of a species, and humans need it, I think, and I started thinking, well, there's got to be a way that each and everybody, even though maybe we are predispositioned to be in this box, you can step out of that and you can evolve or even devolve by doing that. And I think when you step out of those different patterns or way of being, you do either evolve or devolve, and that's kind of a theme, that is resound in the record itself, and so that's where that name came from. Cool.
So it's like a whole deep thing right behind, going on behind there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Yeah. There it is. Wham. Right.
So now, is it an EP? Like, is there only like 4 or 5 songs on it? And
what? Yeah. Once again, along the theme of not doing anything, normal. I guess going along with not being in a box. We currently don't have any. There's nothing telling us what we can and can't do.
Right.
And so we're not working for the machine right now, and there is some gloriousness to that. And so when we got finished with tracking Human Paradigm, there were 5 songs on an EP. Well, because we had in our minds, well, we'll just do EPs, as often as possible, or singles, or just whenever a song comes and it's good, we'll go track a thing and put it out. Well, we had We're Gonna Be Awesome already done, and the band has since Human Paradigm has started to come out, the band has really seen some takeoff. And when we played the albums back to back, when we first got the tracks back, they just fit really well into a full record.
Right.
And it just kind of told a story, of the band so far, and that record had not had the same publicity as this one did. And so what we decided to do, and we thought it would be very cool, especially for the folks that are still interested in buying physical product, we put out the physical CD with 2 CDs in it. It's a whole record, but it maintains the integrity of the 2 EPs, and you get more art, and you get more stuff in it. It's just a cooler package. So
cool.
We released it as the Human Paradigm Deluxe Edition, and that way it was better that way as a whole work, yet respecting the 2 entities separately.
That's very cool. Now, how about vinyl? Any vinyl? Because you mentioned about the physical artwork, and right away that's where I thought of when you said that, with vinyl. Right,
and a good friend of mine who's a brilliant artist did that cover art for us, and it's great art. I would love to see it on vinyl. We have been talking about that, and we've actually had quite a few requests for it, and I would love to see that record on vinyl. Maybe into next year we'll start working that way.
Nice. Now, I saw, too, something funny you guys did while recording this is, you guys, were camping while recording and playing outside or something?
Yeah, that was the title track. So we went up to Los Angeles, and we kind of we challenged ourselves to see if we could, track one song over a weekend. We just wanted to see if we could, go to different studios or whatever and just get up there and work and only put our mind into the work and get a song done and get it done right. And so we were working with a guy, Dan Whitmore, out of Swagger Studios in LA. And he said, if you guys are coming for the weekend, just, you can, we've got a big rehearsal room in the studio, just come and camp out. And so we laughed about it, and we literally went up with tents and sleeping bags, and we had picnic stuff and a picnic table covered, and they had a table, it looked like a picnic table in there. So we literally set it up like a campground, and we called Dan, camp leader Dan, the whole time that we were there. And we were working hard, man, but it was fun. But we were doing 12-hour days in there to get that song done. But I woke up the next morning on Saturday, and I could hear the guitars being reamped in the hallway. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and they're just blasting. I thought, man, this is glorious. And I look out of the tent, see everybody else looking out of the tents. I was sleeping on top. My tent was on the stage.
That's funny.
It was just appropriate. And it was fun,
man.
Doing stuff like that. It really does help to trigger, it triggers something. It triggers something in the creativity and even in the way that you play. That song, although it fits on that EP, it does sound different than the others, and that that's a lot of times the conditions in which you're tracking that song.
Right, and that's a totally different way of doing it. So you better get something different out of that, right? So you guys going to be hitting the road soon? Any more Folk Edge shows coming up, or?
We actually just did one. We did a Folk Edge show. Doug, bass player Doug, was he was a chief in the Navy, once chief, always chief, and so we did. We played at a Chiefs Gala in Ventura, California, just a couple of days ago, and man, that was a pretty special event. It was really cool. Other than that, we'll be in Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Saturday we're playing with a band called King in San Diego.
Nice.
And we'll be in San Jose, and then we are right now, as we're talking, we are in the process of setting up a tour that'll run from California up through Texas and Oklahoma in December.
Cool.
So we'll do that, and then we've kind of sectioned off the states into 4 4 quarters, and so we're going to kind of rotate around those sections.
Cool. Very cool. Well, hopefully you guys get out to the Philadelphia area soon.
We are working on that. That is, I believe, our section 3. So we'll be hitting that. We'll be up there next year.
Cool. So, what song do you think we should play? What would be your pick? Any one?
Well, tell me this: a heavier or a more melodic. What would be your audience's thing?
Ooh. Let me think. Am I going to play it on the rock show or the interview show? Let's do the rock show. So let's go heavy.
Okay. I would say either Silence in the Spark or When the Gods Speak.
All right. So I'll make the final decision.
All right. I like that. I trust.
Or maybe, you know what? Screw it. I have the power. I'm just going to play both. How about that?
That's what I like that. That's what happens when you're not working for the machine, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Brian, this has been a lot of fun, man. I want to thank you, and good luck to you guys. And when you guys hit Philly, I'll be hitting you up.
All right, man. Yeah, likewise. It'd be good to see you in person, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.